All right, let's take you to one of our top stories now, and that is the High Court there in Pretoria delivering its judgment on that matter between the Basic Education Department and the Information Regulator. And of course, the court looking at the matter of urgency, and it's now going to be the fact that the results will be published in various platforms, including newspapers. But remember, this does not mean that this battle is over. So let's speak to SABC News reporter Patricia, who was tracking the developments yesterday, of course, and today in court, and joins us live now. Patricia, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. The judge striking this matter from the roll with costs, saying it's not urgent.
Well, definitely, and that ultimately concludes the first part of this battle. But you'd understand there's the issue around the enforcement order that the regulator slammed the Department of Basic Education with, and that was mid-November. Although the department did obviously issue an appeal against that particular order, there's also an infringement fine that the regulator issued, and that is with 5 million rand that the Department of Basic Education is now expected to pay to the regulator for apparently not agreeing to what the regulator at the time had expected, and that was an undertaking that the Basic Department would not go ahead with the intentions to publish the matric results as per tradition in newspapers and obviously on online platforms. But the judge's responsibility today was to deal with whether there was substantive grounds to obviously, have that urgent interdict order granted in court. So that she dealt with, but the bigger issue, which is now this enforcement order, that appeal still awaits. So ultimately, what the regulator said is that it's unfortunate. They understand the judgment against them, but they feel that they still have legal muscle should the department go ahead with, of course, releasing the results on Monday. So they accept the judge's ruling, but they're also saying that they still have grounds. It's actually a bit confusing because the judge told me also touched on the enforcement order, also talking about why did the regulator wait until mid-November. They had 10 months to issue that enforcement order, and even taking it back, saying that if you look at the whole picture, they had from January 2022 to start the legal process against the Department of Basic Education to ultimately overturn or have the courts come to a different decision following the 2022 order that was ultimately issued. So you have that we have to look at. How exactly will the regulator move forward in terms of this tussle between the Department of Basic Education and ultimately both these parties agreeing that they're not against the release of the that's the regulator. They're not against the release of the matric results. It is about compliance. The regulator saying that the release of the matric results have to be compliant with the POPI Act. That's all they're looking for. And this is to protect the law, and this is to make sure that the Constitution is also respected in that regard. Basic Education also saying that they don't have a problem with obviously respecting the POPI Act, but how it has to be done and doing things right, following the law, that is of paramount importance, and allowing the courts of this country to determine what is lawful and what is not. So we are waiting to see what exactly will happen when that appeal ultimately gets back in court or gets into court. What will the arguments be, and the broader merits of this particular case that still has to be ventilated. All parties involved, that being AfriForum, Marula Media, Basic Education, and even the regulators, saying that there needs to be a final decision that everybody can agree on a point of law in terms of what will the future look like with relation to releasing the matric results moving forward. Will 2025 be different, and how exactly will that difference be achieved? So the judge also making it very clear in her judgment that both parties here have to act in the best interests of the matriculants, saying that actually there is just a disagreement between the Department of Basic Education and the regulator in terms of what the middle ground is here, and the two parties have to come together and act in the best interest of the matriculants. So hopefully we will see what happens next week when the results are now officially released, and what happens to the 5 million rand that the regulator is expecting from basic education. How will that matter be ventilated? And of course, as I said, the appeal that hopefully will deal with the broader merits of this particular case.
All right, Patricia, let's see then what happens, and we'll be in conversation with the Basic Education Department Minister Siviwe Kwahobe on the other side of 6 o'clock to talk about this ruling, of course, but also a number of the other challenges now that it also, puts into the picture. Can they agree on a way forward that, everyone can actually be happy with? So we'll talk to her about that. That's my colleague there, Patricia, who's been watching this story for us.